All right. Well, before I get started, I have some announcements. I want to say welcome to the March version of our program coordinator meeting. Um, I I was thinking that I wanted to introduce Erin Landon today, but I don't see her on. Erin, are you on?
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Erin. Great. So Erin Landon is a Master Gardener volunteer in Grays Harbor, Pacific County, and she recently took, alongside Wendy Balmer, um, a volunteer role coordinating the Grays Harbor Pacific Master Gardener program. So welcome to Erin. She will be joining our meetings and participating with us as we continue to build on our program. Thanks for being here, Erin, and thanks for taking on such a giant role.
Thank you.
Sure. Tim, I see somebody else on that I'm not familiar with, and I think it might be somebody you know. Do you want to introduce? Tim Kohlhoff?
There we go. And now yes, I want to introduce Jonica Burkett. She's working with us in Spokane County, and we're really lucky to have her. She is amazing at marketing and promotions and all things technology. So welcome, Jonica.
Hello.
Hi, Jonica. Thanks for joining us. Nice to put a face to the name.
Oh, my reputation precedes me.
I've heard a little bit.
Jonica's actually the one who designed the logo for the podcast.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Jonica. That's awesome. All right. So let's see a couple of things in the chat. Let me make sure. Oh, welcome, Erin. Hi. Yep. Terrific. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. What did I do here? Okay. So Northwest Farm Garden Festival was last month. It was a fantastic time. We had 16 local foundations led by the Master Gardener Foundation of Washington State, who supported our program participation at the festival. We had about 55 volunteers serving in the shifts from 10 different programs, and we visited with 1,300 guests. So pretty good turnout at the show this year. Wendy, our dean, Connor's dean, Wendy Powers, attended on Friday for a couple of hours, along with our development office staff, Jim and Denise. All of them visited with volunteers about the program and what the program means to them and the differences that the program, makes in their lives in particular and in the lives of individuals and communities across the state. And Wendy took part of what she learned to Capitol Hill when she was advocating for WSU. So that was she was really taking those stories to heart, and it indicated to me that these were stories that she would focus on. We did do a survey of volunteers who participated at the show to learn about their participation, and we learned from that survey that most volunteers would love to do it again. They had a great time and think it's a great way for us to tell the story about who we are, what we do, and why we do it, all while really sharing with the community research-based gardening and environmental stewardship education that serves our program priorities. The volunteers really liked the hands-on pieces of our program priorities this year. Being able to touch and show and do with the visitors was an important aspect that we added this year that volunteers really liked. Volunteers really liked interacting with other volunteers from across the state, learning from each other about how the different programs operate and how we all get things done to meet the needs of our communities in different ways. And a couple of volunteers actually said that being at this show and working with others and learning from others improved their confidence to serve as an Extension Master Gardener volunteer, which I did not expect, but I was very, very pleased to hear. And then we also learned that the King County Clinic boxes are sought after resources. They're top notch and desired by other counties. So Sarah is working with her county there to see how we might be able to share those out among other counties who are interested. I also want to give you an update on the Endowed Chair campaign. I actually should call it the Master Gardener Program Endowment. So last month I let you know that we needed to change directions with the endowment because, or perhaps because the messaging that we were using to, find success with the campaign was not resonating with our constituency base. And also due to the economic environment in higher education and some changes at WSU, WSU would be unlikely be able to hire or appoint an endowed chair fully dedicated to the Master Gardener program. After many conversations with Connor's leadership, Extension leadership, Connor's Development, Master Gardener Foundation of Washington State, and a listening session with interested volunteers hosted by the foundation. There was a number of volunteers on that call. I don't remember how many, but we received quite a bit of input and used that. And I'm happy to report that we were able to make a change to our gift use agreement. And that is the agreement that defines the fund, defines the endowment. And there are minor changes, but they're really going to make a big difference for us. So one of them was that we removed the word chair. So now it's the Master Gardener Program Endowment. It's not specifically for a chair. It can be used for program support and other, including salaries. We capped the fund for immediate use. That means we don't have to wait until we reach the 1.5 to start spending the amount that the spendable amount. So we can use now, the state program will receive, I think it's like 3.7%, not quite 3.7% of the 163,000 that's currently in the endowment. So that works out to about $6,000 a year. So we'll be able to use that immediately for our needs. And so that means we also remove that 1.5 million. We don't have that goal anymore. Our goal is just to increase the principal of that 162, increase the principal of that endowment so that the spendable amount, continues to grow. And that spendable amount will be used to support the Master Gardener program. Green School, for example, updating curriculum, writing publications and fact sheets for volunteer use, volunteer training, things like that. And we remove the 5-year time limit. So there's no end date for when we have to stop raising money for the endowment. We can just continue raising money for the endowment as long as it's working for us. So just, 10 minutes ago, I got a fully signed letter that I will be sending to you and to all Master Gardener volunteers. So everybody I'm going to use GivePulse to send that letter. So every volunteer should receive a copy of it. And then Connor's Development plans to send a letter to all donors. So if you're a volunteer or as staff and you're a donor, you're probably going to get this letter twice. There's nothing we can do about that. So I'm happy about this because it really provides an opportunity, to ensure that our program has funding to meet immediate needs. Any questions about the endowment or Northwest Flower and Garden Festival before I move on? Well, welcome. As you know, Extension is for everybody, and I am certainly glad you're able to spend an hour of your time with us today in service to WSU Connors and WSU Extension, really engaging volunteers to empower and sustain diverse communities with relevant, unbiased research-based horticulture and environmental stewardship education. So quickly, I want to go through some of the 2024 by the numbers that I have ready for you. And then Debbie and I are currently working on aggregating the impact sheet worksheets that you provided to me, and we are starting to work on the report. So this slide is the number of certified volunteers and the number of trainees. The red bars are certified volunteers, 2022, 2023, and 2024. And the gray bars are the number of trainees that we train in a given year, 2022, 2023, 2024. So just over 3,000 volunteers. And then this one is the number of hours recorded by category. The gray bars are the 2024 years, year 2024. I find it interesting that the number of volunteers decreased, but the number of hours increased. And then this one is the number of outreach events by program priority. The gray bars are 2024. And quite a bit of difference, right? I mean, you can really see an increase in the numbers. And I asked a couple of the counties whose numbers seem to be very different from previous years. And I learned that one county in particular changed the way they're counting their outreach events. And then another county and they've gotten better at it. And then another county simply just got way better at counting their outreach events. So this is something I really want to look at and work with all of you on to make sure we're kind of all counting it the same way. This is the first year I've seen such a difference. When you look back at 2022 and 2023, which are the red bars and the green bars, you know, there's not a big difference. And if I were to look back, you know, I have this data back to 2016, but that was when we were tracking on specific question types and not on the program priorities. The numbers haven't changed a whole lot. So this is the first year where we've seen that big jump. So I think we need to dig into that and make sure we're all kind of counting in the same way. And then this is the number of people, adults and youth, who attend by program priority. So obviously local food, and these are all of our events. So this is, you know, our seminars, our workshops, our field days, demonstrations. Again, the gray bars are 2024. Local food is very popular. The 2024 report will be coming out soon. Again, we're working on compiling all of the impact statements. It will look different than it did last year. Most of it will be more of a web version so that it is that meets accessibility guidelines. But there will be a one sheet and then a smaller printable version if somebody wants that. And as we move into 2025, please work with your volunteers, with your speakers bureau, or even if it's just one volunteer who you know is a fantastic speaker and really wants to dig into program evaluation. You know, use the program priority libraries and the evaluations that we have in there. So we can really get good at telling our story with data to back it up. Questions, thoughts?
Jennifer, can you get that? Do you have the means to get the local food survey into a more user-friendly shape in a paper form? I find I get much better response if I have that in hand, and I tried to convert it and I just didn't have the time to futz around with it. But you know, it'd be nice if the last question where you ask if you can contact them again was somehow separate from the rest of them, so I could divide that so they feel like they have a truly anonymous survey, even when does that make what I'm saying make sense? Even when I'm there, if I hand them the sheet, if you do have somebody that can revise it, just pull off that very last sheet. So when I get the surveys back, I can pull them apart and make sure that, because they have to put their email address, so I can connect that person to the survey if I give them the survey as it is. Does that make sense? And then I can just have volunteers enter this into your sheet
right.
for
I
you.
mean,
Yeah.
having people fill it out on paper, I think that part makes sense to me, but I don't understand
It's not important. That's just a small detail. I'll explain it to you later. It's just in your survey. It's not important. I just thought if you were doing it, it's one thing I would like to have broken away from the rest of the survey.
but we still want to give them the opportunity to give us that information so we can check back with them. Otherwise, we will never get at impact data. We're only going to get at short-term outcome data.
Yes, it would be similar to the way that you're doing Master Gardener training applications where we pull off the demographic information.
Okay.
Yeah, just throw it on a separate page. Then I can get that, and I will get all their information put in, and you'll have permission to enter there.
Okay.
Or reach out to them again.
Okay, sure. I think the questions are already available in Word. So Debbie and I can look at that and see what we can come up with.
It's not quite user friendly yet.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Sarah.
I wanted to say, I noticed also in King County that we had more hours reported.
Mhm.
And I think, at least for us, we were really emphasizing to people that their hours mattered.
Right.
And I think it wasn't, as much as I want to say, well, people did a lot more volunteering. They may have done a little bit more, but they also started to recognize that all that when they do something behind the scenes, they're still doing it for the program, and it's still important to count. And using the national valuation for the cost of an hour of volunteer service, we went over $1 million in King County this year. And I'm just so excited to share that back to the team, because it wouldn't have happened if people hadn't, been honest and reported everything they did.
Right. And I think when I did that, it's 100, we have with these hours, it's 195 FTEs. Yeah. Yeah. So you're right. It could mean that people are really understanding the importance of entering their time. All right, so let's get right into Green School. I held a couple of listening sessions or Q&A sessions over the last few weeks. They were fantastic, and we've made some adjustments. By the end of this month, in our timeline, I said I would have the application available to you and our marketing and publicity plan available to you. And I'm happy to say the application is ready. It is on Teams in a 2025-2026 folder. It's available in Word, PDF, and a fillable PDF, also in Qualtrics. The Qualtrics, obviously it's in Qualtrics. There is in Teams, you will find a Word document with a link to a video on how to access that Qualtrics application and get it specifically into your county for your county use. The application has been reviewed and approved, and it cannot be changed other than to add questions from the approved list, which is also in Teams. I want to couple small changes from last year's application to this year's application. One of them is an adjustment about in how we ask for pronouns and whether or not the applicant wishes to have that information on their name badge. So last year we had, I think the question read, what are your pronouns? Circle 1, and we gave them the option of the most used pronouns. And after review with our specialist, one of our specialists in this arena, it was suggested that their application read, how may we refer to you? And list the pronouns. We no longer have the choose one because somebody might want to choose more than one. Additionally, the name badge question says, would you like to have this information included on your name badge? Yes or no? So that was the two big changes. Well, small, but the questions are just asked differently. The information will still be there. And then the very last statement right before an applicant signs the application, there is a list. It says, you know, they're agreeing to abide by the volunteer expectations and agreement. What's in these volunteer expectations and agreement is nothing new. All of the information that's in there can be found in our current program and policy and procedure handbook and in WSU policies. The newness of this is that it's all aggregated into one place. So, Debbie, would you mind sticking a link in the chat to those expectations? I encourage you to take a look at them, familiarize yourself with them. There's two sections. One section is really about before a person volunteers, these are the things that are not volunteers. Before a person applies, these are the things that you should consider. Things like, are you 18? Do you have a computer and the skills to use the computer? And there's a whole list there. The pest management agreement piece is there. And then the second section is really all about the things that a person agrees to abide by when they're an Extension Master Gardener volunteer. So this was approved, reviewed and approved by our Attorney General. So this is what we will begin to use moving forward. All right, any questions about that? Yay. So in terms of timeline for application, what we are publicizing on the Green School website is the application opens. You know what? I'm just going to go to the website and show it to you. Okay, so here is the Green School Extension, you know, join us page, become an Extension Master Gardener volunteer. So here's the application period that's publicized. But it also states that each applicant needs to be cognizant of their specific county details. The registration period for Green School though, and this is what we don't want to miss, is August 15th to September 30. If a person misses that September 30 deadline, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay.
Jennifer,
Yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
um, I'm sure we probably talked about it, but I don't remember. Is there going to be a way on the registration for them to indicate that they are receiving a scholarship from us?
Yeah, so Bryce and I have been working with Extension Foundation and to build out the registration portal. Scholarships will be scholarshiped people. It's really a fee waiver, I think, is how we're going to be working it. But they'll be given a code. So when they
Okay.
register, they'll put the code in.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Jennifer, will that give you like 50% off or like automatically or?
I'm not even good at remembering numbers, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to come in here and look at the fees. So a person who is receiving a scholarship is $125, so it's a little more than 50% off.
So, but we don't have any latitude to change that. So the cost for those folks is 125.
Correct. However, if an option will be for if you want to cover that cost, say the foundation wants to cover that cost, that is doable. We can make that happen too. It would just be a single person would, Erica, maybe you with a foundation account would register all the people who are on scholarship, and you want to pay that $125 for them, you would register all of them at once.
So who's paying the difference between the 125 and the full amount?
It's the fee waiver.
Okay, so I see. So if we have, is there a limit to how many people can take advantage of that?
No, but I mean, we just have to think about the revenue that will be lost to your county by the number of people that you're offering that to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're thinking of two, but I'm just trying to better understand. So there'll be 125 if we do nothing, and then if we offer more, we could offer 25 or 100 or 125 or whatever. In addition to cover, in addition to what, okay, got it.
If I'm understanding you correctly, yeah. And at some point, I would like to have a standardized process for scholarship application. But one thing at a time. We're making a lot of change right now, and so I just thought that it would allow the counties to continue using their process that they've been using, and then we'll look at that at a later date. Anything else about application? So you can start accepting applications as soon as you're ready. Okay. All right, and then the other thing is marketing and publicity. I got to give Debbie a huge shout out for all of this work that I'm about to show you and that is available to you. So we will have a written plan. I'm actually, I think, just going to show you this written plan so you can see what we're working on. It's not quite ready yet, and that's, but we will make sure that it is ready. Okay, so we have target numbers, raise awareness of Green School, registration target of 525 for the Extension Master Gardener certification, and $350 for the Washington Gardener certificate. So we have target numbers we're going after. These numbers are based on an average number of trainees that we train in a given year. And this one is a little bit harder to come up with. It's a number based on our home hort number and numbers that Colorado trains in a given year. So it's really more of a guess. We'll see. I don't really know. We have our target audiences, some strategies. So there's a digital marketing campaign. This is the website. We have already done the website, and there are updates to the website that focus more on the benefits of each of becoming an extension master gardener or earning the certificate. So I encourage you to go out and look at that website again because it has changed based on your feedback. We have social media content that we will have, and this is what I'm about to share with you. You can post it on Facebook or Instagram, or if you're really active on LinkedIn, start to put stuff up there. We will run targeted ads. I have a little bit in our budget to do that. I'm not expecting you to do that unless you want to, but I'm going to do that. Email newsletters. So we're going to take advantage of all of the newsletter Seeds for Thought and other newsletters that we have. And then content marketing. This is a section where I think many counties might be able to take advantage, like writing blog posts. I know that counties have blogs and write blog posts. And we can seek support from other gardening influencers, our garden clubs, other green industry folks, conservation districts maybe, right? People like that. Partnerships and collaborations. Partner with local gardening clubs, environmental organizations. And we have some email templates in our assets for you that you can use to email your local gardening club and say, hey, we have this coming up. Would you, be willing to help us spread the word? So local media, we have sample press releases. If you have an opportunity to do radio or TV interviews, I don't have talking points for that, but I think there's plenty of information that we can grab and use for doing that. See how you can engage with your county extension offices to spread the word. And then I will share with the state extension programs. And then through the summer, when you're doing your events and workshops, promote it at your farmers markets, at your fairs, during classes. And then we have a timeline here. You'll see a couple of links. These links take you directly to some different materials that are on our volunteer resources page on the Extension Master Gardener website. And you'll notice in here we have ideas that we really want you to push out in April. So, we're going to launch the social media campaign and email newsletters. These are asking for our partners to help us spread the word. Really introducing Green School, just the aspect of Green School and what Green School has to offer. And then when we get into June and July, we're hoping that this is the 2 months where you're really hit home the recruitment of Extension Master Gardener applications or applicants, if you're using the timing that is posted on the website. So we have specific posts and graphics for recruiting Extension Master Gardener volunteers that you can grab and use. And I'll show those to you in a minute. And these will also be interspersed with the, what is Green School type posts. And then in August, again, continue the focus on applications and begin promoting the Washington Green School certificate. We have specific posts for that as well. And continue through August through September. And then we'll conduct a final evaluation and report on outcomes and see what we need to change for next year. Number of assets, I'll show these to you and how we're planning to evaluate it. So some of the, we have a file that's called Tips for Effective Marketing. This just gives you some ideas on how to use the tools that we're going to have for you, or different ideas on how you can advertise if you want to. Trying to find the So this is the volunteer resources page on our website. Oh, go ahead, Erica. Sorry, I didn't see your hand was up. Speak up.
Oh, that's okay. I guess I'm just finding myself a little overwhelmed with how to articulate what's going on between advertising, become a Master Gardener or join us at Green School. I've got my own brochures, and then I just got these beautiful cards. Do you envision us really trying to adopt and use a language that says join us for Green School or become a Master Gardener, or different messages at different times, or how do you
at different times is what we're thinking at this point. So I'll show you the imagery. Maybe that will help. And I'm hoping that what I send to you with the, I'm going to send it all separately from the monthly e-news that I send. I will send a file that contains links to the publicity and marketing plan for Green School. But right, I mean, it's complicated. And one of the things that Debbie and I worked on was separating out the timing and the audiences. So this is the resources for Master Gardener volunteers. This is where most of this is going to be housed. I'm going to click into the Green School. We have the promotional tools. These are the assets that are ready to print. So these are things that you can grab and use. There's a poster, 12 by 18 poster, and then the banner. You'll have to print them, obviously. And then the rat card, if you want more of those. We sent rat cards, or you can print more if you want them. And then we have the word mark, the Green School word mark, which is this. And then we'll get down here into the social media pieces. So in April and May, these are the things we want you to use just to introduce Green School. This is a Word doc. I don't have it. So these are, always opens on my wrong screen. So these are the April and May social media post ideas for the Extension Master Gardener program. Go ahead, Sarah.
Why don't I wait till you've run through all of this and then.
Okay. Just don't forget your question. Okay, so these are a number of different posts that you can use. Specifically, for the Extension Master Gardener program in April and May. Become an Extension Master Gardener. Join the Master Gardener program. So this is advertising, publicizing the Master Gardener program. And then to become a Master Gardener, you're also going to have to register for Green School. But this is focused on the program, on Master Gardener program. And then we have some imagery. It's a whole list of whole number of images. Here's one that you can put with these posts. There's one image. Here's a different one. Again, these are specifically for recruiting Extension Master Gardener volunteers. And you would put, post these images with these. And you can mix and match, choose what you want. So these are April and May posts. And then we also, though, in April and May, oh, interesting, Debbie, I think these, look at this one.
Did I?
Mix and match, yeah,
Oh, okay.
Both
I'll
the
fix
yeah.
that.
So these are, again, the Extension Master Gardener Program recruitment posts. But if you look here, and Debbie will fix this, this is the grab and go posts for Green School. So these will be separate and have graphics to go with them. And the graphics look something like this. This is one fun one. Maybe if I had attended Washington Green School, my veggies would look better. So fun ones, and then there's, more serious ones. So in April and May, it's kind of a combination of both. We're introducing Green School and, the Green School certificate and the Extension Master Gardener. And then in June and July, which we'll get those posted, they're not there yet because we're not in June yet. We'll have graphics for you to really hit home the idea of recruiting Extension Master Gardener volunteers. And then in August and September, we'll have graphics and posts for Washington Gardener Certificate. Register today type posts. Interspersed in there will be press releases from Connors Communications. There are press releases available for Master Gardener Program coordinators to use. There's press release templates so that you can grab those and make them your own. There are lists of media outlets divided east side and west side that you can, send your press releases to. And there are the email templates that you can use to invite your partners, garden clubs, etc., to invite them to help us spread the word. So this is all going to be in one document and everything will be linked in here, so that, and it's all going to be in this Word document that I shared with you a second ago. This one. And you'll be able to grab and go straight from here. Debbie, did I miss anything?
I don't think so, and I just fixed that link for those social media posts.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear your questions and, tell me more about what you need and what's confusing and how we can support you better.
I'll go because I had a hand up.
Sure.
And I'll say I agree with Erica. It's a lot of information and a lot of different moving parts in terms of dates and things. I'm gonna give myself or ask the state leadership to perhaps do some calendar reminder or notifications that are like April, talk about blah blah blah, you know, June, switch focus to blah blah blah, just to kind of keep myself and my volunteers on that timeline target, because I haven't done a marketing plan before that kind of morphs and evolves over time, and this will be a learning experience for me.
Me too. Like we said, these jobs are like running a small business, right? We're supposed to be marketers, we're supposed to be teachers, we're supposed to be, it's like, wait a minute here, I didn't know I was supposed to know all this stuff. Yeah, so that's a good, I put it down, Sarah, and I will make sure that we note that and get reminders out. Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, could we, if we have volunteers that do a lot of our marketing, could we get them on those lists?
I think we should be definitely engaging volunteers to help us with this. What do you mean by get them on the list?
If there's a reminder list,
Mhm.
or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
The risk of sort of repeating what I've already said, there's like 3 names that people have to remember. There's Green School, there's Washington Gardener, and there's Master Gardener. And if you're a Master Gardener, you're also in Green School. And if you're a Washington Gardener, you're also in Green School. But if you are a Master Gardener, you're going to get a Green School, you're going to get a Washington Gardener certificate.
Yep.
So I'm just really anticipating how this is very circular, and people are going to be like, well, but I thought I was taking Green School. And it's like, well, you are, but so I'm just in my head trying to really figure out how to articulate how they go in and out of each other, but how they're so separate. I would love for somebody to look at my slide deck or to see somebody else's slide deck on how you're explaining this in a room of people with a PowerPoint, if anyone's doing that.
I wrote down the note, and I'm wondering about leveraging some of the strengths of our marketing folks. I know we have 2 of them on this call at least to help us with that. Yeah. Is anybody else working on a slide deck that you're going to use in a room full of people, like Erica was just talking about?
I haven't started mine yet. I do it every year. I will have to completely revamp it for this coming fall. So I'd be very interested in having resources available if people with those skills can create them.
Yeah, and I'm planning on creating a new slide deck for info sessions as well.
I think I'm gonna have to look into that. Right now, I'm just a member of our marketing committee. I'm not in charge of anything, but I do help with the graphics a lot. I think this is gonna be a lot to unpack for my team, and I too want to try and make sure I have it all correct before I introduce it to everybody. We have another meeting this week, and they're going to be asking a bit about it, and I too would like a little bit more clarification on the circular nature of the Washington Green School versus the Master Gardener program and the Washington Gardener. I kind of think of it as like if I correct me if I am wrong. I'm trying to grasp this. Just so the Washington Green School is kind of the overarching umbrella for this whole program. And then you have your online Washington Gardeners, just Green School, and that's just for people who they're just going to do this at home. And then we have the Master Gardeners, which is a little bit more hands-on, community minded, practical experience minded, for people who want to really get involved. Do I have that correct?
I think so. I might say it a little differently, and then we can decide whether, we're talking about the same things or not. So Green School, in my mind, Washington Green School is the title of the program, period. Washington Green School. I'm going to Washington Green School. I'm going to Washington State University. I'm going to University of Washington. I'm going to Edmonds Community College. I'm going to Washington Green School.
Okay.
At Washington Green School, I can earn a Washington Gardener certificate upon successful completion. And if I've applied ahead of time and I was accepted, I can take that further and earn an Extension Master Gardener certification by participating in local volunteer training and giving back to my community with volunteer service. Is that how you understood it?
That's
Jonathan?
about what I was thinking, yes.
Okay.
So if you graduate this program, either way, it is a Washington Gardener certificate. And then like the volunteer Master Gardener is kind of like the difference between a master's and a bachelor's. So the MGs would be like a master's. But I'm just thinking in terms of tiered programs.
Right.
Thank you.
I think
So I think
a little confusing is if you just take tier 1, which is the Washington Gardener program, you pay $550, but if you add that second tier, you're going to get a huge cost reduction. And I feel like, so you're building on, but you're paying less.
you're paying less because you're doing more and being asked to give back. Almost, Rachel. So it is correct to say, moving forward, all Extension Master Gardener volunteers will hold a Washington Gardener certificate. Not Green School certificate. They'll hold a Washington Gardener certificate. Not all Washington Gardener certificate holders will be Extension Master Gardener volunteers. This is getting really, is it a rectangle is a square, but a square is not a rectangle sort of conversation, or is it the other way around?
So I have a question about the PowerPoints that you're creating. Who is the audience for the PowerPoints?
Well, I've gone and decided to mix them. So I'm going to have current existing Master Gardeners there with people who have indicated an interest in the program, as well as people who are coming to find out about all of the above.
Okay, so mostly those interested in the Master Garden program.
Well, I'll have all three at all of my information sessions.
Okay, because Jennifer and I were talking about this the other day, that, the Master Gardener program hasn't changed. The requirements for the course that you have to take has. And I don't know, maybe that makes it a little easier to grasp.
I feel like I'm grasping it okay myself. I'm just having a hard time articulating because, like I said, there's 3 names. And so people are hearing 3 things and they're expecting 3 different things. And yet Green School is the overarching training, but it's also the core training.
Mhm.
Anyway, I've said enough.
Yeah, I think it's going to take us some time, right? This is why we're doing this in March, so that we can, so we can figure it out. Go ahead, Sarah, and then I have an idea.
And
Mhm.
I don't have excellent outcomes yet, but I feel like I get better outcomes explaining this when I focus on the end result rather than the path people take to get there. So, either you become a volunteer or you have the information that you can use however you want. And that helps people decide, oh, I want to know all these things and use it as a volunteer in the public, to engage others, or I just want to know it.
Mhm.
And then once that part sinks in, then the flow chart, I think, would
Right.
they're primed to understand the flow chart perhaps a little bit more.
Mhm. Okay. I think that's more along the lines of how I am thinking about it too. Um, but so how about, it sounds like many of you are going to offer these orientation type sessions or introduction type sessions. Erica, it feels like you're pretty far along on your slide deck. I know you emailed me earlier today and I've read it and been thinking about it. And I'm interested in collaborating on it and collaborating on the slide deck. And I think if we get Debbie and maybe Jonica and Caitlin May and whoever else wants to get involved in the marketing side of this, we can, use your slide deck as a starting point to
That'd be
build
great.
something.
My first info session is April 18th.
Okay. So I can help bring a group together. Linda, for staying mission driven, I'm gonna just high level say that, there's the plan is coming together and that the coordinators have more detail, and that if you're interested in supporting and publicizing Green School, to get in contact with your coordinator. Okay. Thanks, Caitlin. I want to say one more thing in terms of marketing. I know some of you have been concerned about revenue generation. Thank you, Jonica. I appreciate that. Revenue generation. So I just want to say, remind you that we're splitting it 50-50, county, state, after expenses are paid, based on the number of volunteer learners and Washington Gardner certificate learners in your county. The more Washington Gardner certificate learners you have in your county, the higher your revenue will be, because it will increase the average. So I appreciate you all paying attention to the marketing side of this and helping with the marketing and publicity side of this in the local counties. And we're going to be advertising and publicizing at the state level as well. All right, I know we're at 2 o'clock. I want to also say that we changed the name of labs after hearing your feedback to local volunteer training. Local volunteer training gets at the idea that, it's in person, in county, and it's training specifically for volunteers. It can be labs, it can be field trips, it can be mock clinics, whatever you need it to be to bring volunteer trainees in your local county to competency. Excuse me, Bryce sent out competencies last week, I think, Bryce. And remember, those are organized around course outcomes, including foundational level knowledge, attitudes, and skills to build highly trained and confident volunteers. The competencies are for local use. They're for you to use as a tool, as a resource for your training teams. and for trainees to understand, you know, what they to do like self-assessments. Okay. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to say is that our next meeting typically is scheduled on April, must be to the 23rd. That's right in the middle of the convention I'm going to be at in Maine, the Extension Conference on Volunteerism. So I'm proposing that we host our meeting on April 30th, that last. I don't want to skip a meeting right now. I feel like we have too much going on to skip. So I will switch it to April 30th. And it will be recorded, so if you can't attend, I understand, and then you'll be able to watch the recording. Anything for the good of the group? Okay. Thanks all. I know this is a lot of information. We're trying to communicate. Appreciate your feedback and insights because it just makes us all better and provide us with the best assets we can have to do the work we need to do. As always, reach out if you have questions. Take care.